Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're just going to study velocity banking again. And what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy that essentially is as American's apple pie. In fact, if we don't study it for one day here in the great United States, I feel like something's off, right? And I think a lot of people would agree with me on this because take a look at most of our viewership. 86% of our viewers come from the United States, 5% from Canada, 0.5% from the United Kingdom, and 0.3% from Australia. And supposedly velocity banking came from Australia, but we made it our own, kind of like pizza, apple pie, Chinese food. It is American as Chinese food. But fortunately, the Australians, even though they came up with it, they didn't evangelize like we do. And so shout outs to all you people who are studying this no matter where you're from. But I'm just gonna kind of give a shout out to the United States too, because we're the ones who are heavily promoting it and watching it and consuming the content. And from the United States, believe it or not, these are the top three states: California, Texas, and Florida. So shout out to the top three states. And you know what's funny? I don't know what it is about Texas, but Texans are very silent people. What do I mean by that? Sometimes I look at the comments and I see comments like I'm from California or I'm from Florida, but I never see a comment from someone saying they're from Texas. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. But shouts to all of you studying velocity banking today. An idea as American as apple pie, right? American as apple pie, because that's where everybody here is watching from mostly, even though these four countries or these other three countries they speak English. I don't know what it is, but we're the ones most dedicated to financial literacy and freedom. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. What is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt with the help of something called a line of credit, right? And what is a line of credit? Well, basically, it's a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So you see this right here. This is a home equity line of credit. I can click a button on the bank's website or the app, and then they'll literally dump to up to $280,000 into my checking account at a 7.5% interest rate, right? So that's what's so cool about this. Same thing with personal lines or business lines of credit. And I don't know if you knew this or not, a credit card is technically a line of credit, but the only issue with credit cards is that you got some restrictions, right? You can't pay a credit card with a credit card. It's hard to pay loans with the credit card. You gotta use plastic and they charge like 3.5%. So that's why I got all of them. That's why I got all of them. If you take a look at this, these are all the lines of credit I have. I have over $594,000 in lines of credit. $594,000. And you want to know the secret? I'm going to briefly tell you the secret, which is banks don't lend money to people who need it, right? Banks don't lend money to people who need it. And if you understand that, you can easily get lines of credit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this. So let's go back here. So there's only two steps to doing velocity banking. Number one is a budget, right? So you see this budget right here. And what you do is you list your income, you list your expenses, leftover savings, and then in the expense breakdown, you list every single debt that you have, right? Every single debt, because this is a debt payoff strategy. And then at the very last line, you just kind of put like your average food, gas, insurance costs, things you always have to pay for. If you pay for rent, then rent would go here because rent is technically not a debt, right? But here we have a mortgage, right? And so the difference between the average American and the velocity banker is that the average American, even if we have the same income and expenses, right, they pay their bills from their checking account and then they just leave the leftover in savings, right? Whereas with velocity banking, this just goes to zero. We don't save money. And I know this is shocking to most people because if you show the average American this and then this, they would actually think it's more responsible to have savings after you pay your debt rather than having no savings. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you see here that I don't save any money at all, right? And if people looked at this, they're like, wait a minute, you have money coming in and you don't save it? Nope. because I'm not the average American. I'm not using my checking account as my main operating account. What I'm using is my line of credit as my main operating account. And so even though we don't save money, we're going to have this thing called cash flow. And for this example, we're going to say we have access to $175,000 line of credit. Now, would you get access to $175,000 line of credit if you're at this stage? No, because banks don't lend money to people who need it, right? That's how I have over $594,000 in lines of credit because I got it when I don't need it. But the way that you kind of have to think about line of credit and credit in general is that you kind of have to think of it as like an insurance policy, right? If you get an insurance policy after you crash a car, they'll deny you. But if you get it before you drive, oh, it's a much easier. It's much easier, right? It's like, oh, it's a no brainer. But because people don't know how banking works, they're like, well, who's going to give me a line of credit after I crash the car, right? That's like the type of thinking that they have. But you don't. But what I'm saying is that if you did have a line of credit, oh my goodness, this would be the ultimate lifesaver, right? And I'll show you what I mean by that. So think of this as a warning: is don't even get here, right? Because if you have a line of credit and you know this strategy, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and actually, what am I doing here? And move some debt into the line of credit. And so let's start off with these credit cards. If you want to know a shortcut of what to move, it's usually the high interest rate debt and also the short term loans as well, right? Like, those buy now, pay laters. I've seen buy now, pay laters with like 30% interest. So probably want to start off with those. We're just gonna give you a cheat code, usually the credit card. So let's start off with the credit cards. And how much debt is this? Is 5, 8, 15, 27, 30, 7, 10, 35, 12, 18. I'm going to sum it up. So this is going to be $167,000 of debt. $167,000. Okay. Now let's go here. 167. And this is the part that's shocking to most people, right? Because think about this. Let's say I hide this, right? And you just ask the average American, hey, let's say that you got, really good income because banks don't lend to poor people. I don't know if you saw like on credit card application, they ask for the income. Listen, you could have the best credit, 800 credit score in the world, no income, they're going to deny you, right? They want to lend to people who make payments on time and who have good income, and then once they start to siphon your income with debt, that's when they're like, "Oh, no, you're good. You don't need more credit," right? But if you ask the average American, "Hey, let's say you make this good money and you only have one penny left over and you got all this debt. Do you need to make more money to get out of it?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, of course you do. You only have one penny of savings. You got to make more money and save more, right?" And what we're going to do is we're not going to save money, but we're going to have this thing called cash flow. And by simply transferring this debt here, okay, guess what happens to these credit card payments? Zero, 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 zero. These 10 credit cards all go to zero. Okay, the payments. And look at this. How do we literally go from one penny to $5,345.84? Right? How did we literally go from here to here? I don't know. Well, it must be some sort of a scam, right? But with the line of credit, because we had a line of credit, we're now able to make it as our main operating account. And so what we do is the final step is you see this here. If I get paid, then once I get paid, I'm just moving that money into the line of credit as an overpayment, right? I'm moving that money into the line of credit and then I'm taking my expenses out into putting it into the checking account and then paying for my bills, right? And so that's how we make our line of credit as our main operating account. We don't pay our bills from our checking and leave the leftover in savings. What we do is we put our entire paycheck into this $167,000, which does two things. Number one, putting this entire 9,100 whatever satisfies the minimum monthly payment, and number two, it minimizes the interest because it's based on the average daily balance. And then after every single month, that balance is going to go down by $5,345.84, right? So let's go ahead and do it. And then we're going to get the next month's balance by the previous month's balance plus previous month's interest minus our cash flow, which is 5,345.84. And then what we're going to do is we're going to also calculate the interest based on the average daily balance, multiply it up by the interest rate, 0.08, and then divide by 12, right? And then so you see in month one, we pay $1,000 of interest, and then month 2, that balance is down and or the interest is slowly going down. Look at 5 months, we went 1,095 to 977. We just rinse and repeat over and over again. Oh my goodness. Look how easy that is. Look how so it's so simple, right? It's so simple. So 35 months, we paid off that credit card debt. Less than 3 years. 100 we're like freaking out. I got 10 credit cards, $167,000 paid off in 35 months. So 35 months, okay, 167K, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste this. And then what we got is in 35 months, so 35, I just gotta put this in my loan calculator, right? And figure out which loans we want to move into line of credit. And we use something called the cash flow index to figure it out. If you don't know what the formula is, it's just the balance divided by the payment. And so the lower the number, that means you get more bang for your buck. Even though this is the highest interest rate, we move this into the line of credit, we get more bang for our buck in terms of cash flow. 9,000 to get 386 or 30 grand to get 424. I'm going to move the 9,000 to get 386. So let's go ahead and move that 9,000 right here. So this is going to be plus 9261.98. All right. And then we get that 300, that sweet $386 of cash flow. Let's move that there. Wablam. Now it's $5,732.59. That's our new cash flow, but it's going to be paid off in 2 months anyway. But let's go ahead and increase it. So 5732.59. Wablam, wablam. So now we're going to go here, and then we see that in 37 months. And take a look at the interest that we paid. About less than $100 for 2 months, right? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that crazy? Right. So now 37 months. Okay. So 37 months. And then we'll do this 167 plus 21. That's 188K. 188K. Right. And then now we just do the student loan. So we'll do that 0, 37, 37. Let's move the student loan. We'll be fine. All right. So move the student loan and move it into the line of credit. Okay, so that's going to be plus 29718.13. And then how much cash flow did we get? We got an extra $400 of cash flow, right? And then that's about 6 grand in cash flow. Okay, 6 grand. So let's go ahead and do this. And then this is going to be 6156.85. And then we're going to copy and paste, and we'll blam, in 42 months it is paid off, right? 1 2 3 4 5, about 5 months. That was so easy. Okay. All right, so now this is 42 months, and then this is going to be 188 plus 42, and that's going to be 230K. And now we do the mortgage. So at 42 months, right? 42, this is now 0. Now here's the thing, some nuance here, right? So there's some people on the internet who are like, yeah, you should always move a loan into a line of credit because loan good, line of credit bad. And what we're thinking is terms of cash flow, right? So if there's an interest rate difference between the loan and the line of credit, so 4 and 8 or 4 and 9, and you're paying $187,000 to only get this itty bitty amount of cash flow, that's a mistake. Okay, that's a big mistake. So the safest way to pay it off is something called chunking. So meaning you just move a piece of the loan and line of credit. Most important thing is we pay off the mortgage last because we get the least amount of cash flow for paying off the mortgage, right? We got to pay it last. But the thing is, we have to pay it off because if we don't pay it off early, look at all the interest that accrues. 143,000 after 30 years. I don't know if you want to pay that, but I don't want to pay that. Okay. But the thing is, we want to pay that off last. All right. So 187,000. So let's go ahead and do this. And this will be this velocity banking calculator, which you got here. I put in all the numbers and then take a look at this. Bam, paid off in 2.4 years. 2.4 years. That's America, baby. I'm just kidding. If you're in another country, you can experience this too, I think, if you know what you're doing. All right, so right, 2.4 years. And here's the crazy part, right? Here's the crazy part. I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. 2 years and 9 months. Yeah, like, all right, so I'm in this special club called the GOAT Club. GOAT Club, right? Greatest of all time, because that's what ChatGPT said. Paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months, and people don't believe me, but it's like lean position 1, $0, maturity date 2051, and look at this, oh, July 29, 2024, 0. Well, blam, right? This is a first lien HELOC, 280. How do you think I got the 280 with the 0 balance in the beginning, right? Because I got it all paid off. Can you believe it? No, I can't believe it either. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's not butter. That's another thing that's as American as well, that's actually a bad American thing because I heard margarine's no good for the body. Same thing as corn. I think America ruined corn. Mexico, they got the good corn and then America ruined it. Anyways, all right, so let's go ahead and yeah, let's just reveal this a velocity banking calculus. So if you want to know where I got this from Renatus. So if you're interested in learning about not only velocity banking but other things like real estate investing, financial literacy, go ahead and click the Google form link below. This is just a huge marketing funnel and possibly a cult recruitment tool for me to make some money and possibly recruit some cult members. So if you're interested in what I just talked about, click the Google form link below and pay me some money. Okay. All right. 2.4 years. So let's go ahead and do that. And then 42 divided by 12 plus 2.4, 5.9 years debt free. Debt free. And that's how we became the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And folks, this is why, America is where it's at when it comes to debt payoff. We are by far the country that is interested in this stuff, right? People like saying go to Thailand. Listen, if I want some Thai food, you know where I go? Probably Thailand, but you can also go to United States. You know what Thailand has? It's got Thai food. That's cool, but it doesn't have velocity banking, right? People are like, we gotta be a passport bro. Go to Thailand. Okay. If I want to learn about financial freedom, I'll learn it here in the great United States of America. All right. Other things I might go to other countries, but if you want to learn that here and get some orange chicken, you got to come to United States of America. That's where it's at, and possibly Canada too, right? Possibly Canada. Actually, I love all my countries, right? One day I will go to Puerto Rico. It's interesting that Puerto Rico is listed as another, well, it doesn't say country, it says geography, but I got to go to Puerto Rico too. I got to go to all these countries. I've been to Mexico. Mexico's tight. So is Thailand. I've never been to Thailand either. Look at South Korea. South Korea. We got some South Koreans kind of interested in this. All right. And Pakistan. Look at this. All right. Where is Thailand? It's all the way here. So maybe we got some Thai expats watching this. Love you, Thailand. Love you all. But the United States, that we're the ones leading the fray when it comes to velocity banking. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. This is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So, shouts to y'all, not just the people of the United States, but I did want to highlight that velocity banking is as American as apple pie and orange chicken. All right. So, have a great day, folks. And I'll see you all in the next video.